Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome along to this week's Better Managers Briefing. I'm Matt Roberts, the Director of Membership at CMI. Anne is on leave this week, and so I'll be your host for today's briefing. The subject that we're going to cover off today is the new Chartered Management Consultant Award, something that CMI has been developing in partnership with the Management Consultancies Association over a number of years now. I'm delighted to welcome along today's guests, Tamzen Isacsson, a companion of CMI and the CEO of the Management Consultancies Association. Tamzen, a warm welcome and great to see you today.
Good afternoon, Matt, and thank you for inviting me.
Good stuff, good stuff. So Tamzen, the MCA, CMI and representatives from across the consulting sector have worked in partnership to deliver this new Chartered Management Consultant Award. You've been a real driving force in making that happen. What do you believe are the main benefits that this new Chartered Award is going to bring and deliver to the industry?
Well, thanks for that, Matt. Well, I think there are benefits for the individuals going through the chartered process. There's obvious benefits for the firms, and there are significant benefits for clients. And clients are really at the heart of our industry, and we work with around 10,000 clients across the UK, so a really important development for them too. So as we've seen this Chartered Award process develop over the last couple of years, we've been able to survey those individuals, both very experienced professionals, leaders of consulting firms, as well as more junior consultants who have perhaps 7 years experience. And we've been able to listen to them and hear from them about their experience, and they've really found it a very positive process. It's been very reflective. It's been tough. Not everybody has passed, but for sure it has really emboldened them. You know, they have learned a lot from the process. The assessment is very rigorous. It takes time, and you know, the survey results show that chartered consultants feel more confident after the process, and really believe it's a qualification that you know, they're able to be very proud of. For firms, obviously a win-win for firms as well. So many of our MCA member firms have gone through this accreditation process with the CMI. It's been a joint collaboration and partnership with the CMI. And what that's enabled them to do is to get their training and development schemes accredited. Now, we know that you know, leading consulting firms have excellent training and development provision, and this process enables that to be independently verified. Those firms that have become accredited can now enable their consultants to pass through a 5-year journey and to become chartered at the end. And that is a very attractive proposition, both for individuals, but also for firms. And last and not least, as I started with, in terms of clients, you know, this is the first professional recognition for this industry. And being chartered means that you've been independently assessed by a CMI assessor. You have significant experience and a portfolio of evidence that has been assessed. And you have very, very high standards of ethics and behaviours, and you know, a very high degree of competencies and experience, and that is very beneficial for clients, for them to be able to rate different consultancies, and that's why it's been such a positive initiative so far.
Mm-hmm. It's great to hear, and I know that the award itself is designed, as you've alluded to be inclusive of people right the way across the consultancy sector. So whether people are working in large firms, smaller firms, or as independent consultants, or even people in a consultancy role within an organisation, there's something there for them. Perhaps you can elaborate a little bit in terms of some of the early feedback that you've had from consultants that have been involved with the pilot phase that we'll touch on, and the sort of the views that you're getting from those people.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's really important for the MCA, which represents the diverse consulting sector, that we embraced large, medium and small firms in this process. So when we started with a blank sheet of paper with the CMI, obviously with the history of experience the CMI has with delivering chartered qualifications, we brought together small, medium and large firms to build the competency framework together. And we had 10 initial firms, a diversity of firms that piloted it and really helped us build it, and were pioneers in this process. And I'm really grateful to them and to all of the individuals that really stood up for the profession and gave their time and support to developing this award and the competency framework. I must say, when we first of all started, the ambitions were so high, and there is, a huge amount of attention paid to quality, that we almost set the bar too high in terms of what we were expecting from these chartered consultants at the very end. And so, we had to look carefully about what we could evidence after 5 years, what would be the expectations, and importantly, make sure that the award could apply to consultants working in very different specialisms, be it digital technology, or working in the public sector, or working in HR consultancy, for example. So there was a huge amount of effort by member firms and by the CMI in terms of building this process. And that's why we're really proud of the place it's in at the moment. And that's why we're looking forward to the formal launch on Monday.
Absolutely. And yeah, indeed, it's such an exciting time for the Chartered Management Consultant Award, as you say, formally launching on Monday, but not before a pilot that we've been engaged with over the last 18 months or so. And we now have over 370 individuals that are chartered management consultants, another 1,500 on that journey towards becoming so. And again, thanks to the work that you and others have done, 23, 24 firms that have contracted to put their teams of people through the award. You've been highly involved in this pilot throughout. I just wonder, you mentioned about that commitment to rigor and quality, and also some of the learnings about where we set the bar. But are there other learnings that have come through from that pilot phase that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, first of all, to talk about the impact of COVID, obviously that was very disruptive for many organisations, and we all had to operate digitally. Actually, a number of consultancies found it a very, positive thing to bring to individuals during this period, that during this, unprecedented period of disruption, they could also achieve this significant qualification. So, and it has been delivered brilliantly digitally by the CMI. So that's been really, really positive. And I think we've learned a lot about what we can do digitally. And I think importantly, it's been a period of reflection for a lot of people about their careers and about where they are in their roles. And I've certainly heard from a lot of senior consultants that they were very surprised by the process of becoming chartered. They found it a very positive process. They were forced to take the time to commit to putting together the evidence and their submission, and they found that to be a very impressive, piece of work, and something they found very positive for themselves and also for their career development. So I think it has impressed the experienced professionals that have gone through it. I also think one of the other positive benefits has been that it has forced leading consulting firms to look at their training and development and to tweak it, to improve it, and to raise standards. And that is the entire objective of this award. It is to raise standards within the industry and to ensure across all those areas, the 4 pillars of the competency framework, that a huge amount of training and development is going into consultants, that they are fulfilling all of their training and development, and thereby enabling them to be brilliant consultants that can deliver for clients.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that the opportunity that the assessment provides to afford people that opportunity to reflect on their practice, it can't be underestimated. I mean, we've seen that with the pilot for chartered management consultant. We've also seen it with chartered managers over the years. too often we don't get that chance to carve out that reflective period, and people gain therefore a real benefit from the assessment itself, not just from the achievements that have culminated in the award being designated to them.
And it takes time. It takes time. I mean, this is not something that you can do in a couple of hours. It takes time to gather all the evidence, to make sure that you've got a sponsor for it. There's a very strict criteria the CMI have set for what needs to go into that submission. And then there needs to be a lot of preparation for the actual end assessment, and you have to take it seriously. And if you don't, then you won't be successful, and that's been clear from the results we've had to date.
Yeah, indeed. Now, I know, and you touched on this earlier, that the voice of the clients of consultancy is absolutely imperative for you to make sure that we embed that in everything that we do around this Startup Management Consultant Award. I'm really keen to hear from you today about some of the key messages that you're getting from clients thus far around the award, and where you see the primary benefits being for those clients right now.
Yeah, well, one of the really positive initiatives that we've taken with the award, with the Oversight Board and Patrick Dunn as the chair, is developed a client panel. So, the end objective for every consultant is to deliver excellent value for clients. So we really wanted to bring in a panel of leading clients to help promote this award to the client community, but also to help feedback. And that will be a constant process. This will be an award that will be developed and will be built on throughout the year. So clients have been really essential. We've got a number of leaders from across the public and private sector feeding into the development of this award. And not only that, but right from the beginning, this award has been supported by government. So obviously the CMI with the chartered status went through the Privy Council and ministerial approval to secure this award, and we have members of government on the Oversight Board that oversees the development of this award. And we'll hear from them on Monday, but it's been incredibly positive to hear the endorsement from ministers and officials who understand the importance of training and development to this industry, and are very pleased that we as a profession have embraced chartered, and we'll be hearing from them on Monday at the event. But to all clients that are listening today or attending on Monday, Chartered will reassure you that you are using consultants from a firm or with their own individual training and development in place that really are senior and experienced consultants. They have all the competencies that are built into the competency framework and have a high degree of understanding of the speciality of their sector, and also commit to high standards of ethics and behaviours, and those are all written out in the competency framework. And not only that, but they also need to demonstrate every year that they're committed to continuous personal development. And there's a very rigorous process that the CMI has in place for checking that and for making sure that consultants are updating themselves. This is an industry that innovates constantly. We are always on the front foot in terms of the latest technologies and solutions for clients, and there's a huge amount of training and development that goes into consultancies in our sector. And so that high degree of importance placed on CPD is very evident in this Chartered Award as well.
Indeed it is, indeed. Now, Tamzen, we're going to go to take some questions from the live audience in a moment or two, but before we do so, I'm really interested in just understanding if you've got any tips maybe for those that are interested in becoming chartered. What are we looking for? What are the key things for people to consider before making their application?
So I think, well, there are a couple of routes. If you're with a consultancy firm at the moment, you need to find out if they have an accredited scheme. And dare I suggest, if they don't, you might need to ask why they don't, given this is about securing professional development for consultants. If you have more than 7 years of experience of being a management consultant, then you can apply to be an experienced professional, and that doesn't require your firm to have an accredited process. You can do that individually, but you will need to have a portfolio of evidence whereby you'll need to demonstrate how you have fulfilled all of the competencies in the framework, and you will need a sponsor that can verify all of that as well. And then you need to prepare for an assessment, which will be some weeks later. As I said earlier, I think preparation is absolutely key. You need to take it seriously. I've spoken to many very senior consultants across our industry who have spent many long weekends preparing for the award, and they have taken it extremely seriously. So I think making sure that you've got the time to deliver it is important. And then also, I would say there's a huge amount of information on the CMI and MCA websites. The CMI is regularly running webinars with tips and best practice for those starting the process, which can help you as you prepare. And obviously, if you're starting on the journey and you're not, you haven't got 5 years experience, it is about preparing during that 5-year period and building up that portfolio of evidence. I'd attend the meeting on Monday. You'll be able to hear from some chartered consultants at the very top of our industry, and also from some younger consultants about their journey and experience. And then I'd really encourage you to get involved.
Absolutely, that's great. And just for anybody that's watching that would like a bit more information about this, there's a link in the live chat and in the description to today's broadcast where you can find out more about everything that Tamzen's mentioned. And we'd encourage as many of you as possible to do so. One final question from me, Tamzen, before we go to questions from our audience today. Undoubtedly, consultants have got a huge role to play in how we build back better following the COVID pandemic. And I know that you're already seeing great examples of this on a daily basis. I wondered perhaps whether you could share with us just some of the best examples that you've seen recently of how consultants are doing exactly that.
So it's a difficult business, consultancy. Much of the work we do is highly confidential, and we're not always able to talk about the significant projects that we have got involved in with firms. And it is no surprise to anyone that knows the consultancy sector that it is especially during critical disruptive periods that you rely on trusted external advisors to rebuild your business, to stay afloat, and to rapidly adopt to very changing, consumer or other demands. And that's exactly what we've seen in COVID. Massive shock and disruption to many organisations across the public and private sector. And one of the ways that we are able to promote the work, the great work that consultancies do, is through our MCA awards. So these are signed off by clients. So it's the clients themselves really describing the value that this external support from consultants has delivered. And I have got the busy task at the moment of reading some of those awards entries for this year. And we've got a new category of exceptional support for COVID. And it really is astonishing in terms of the breadth of work that consultancies delivered in a rapid period of time, from assisting with government to ensure that over 1,000 companies received critical loans to ensure that they stayed afloat. We've got entries around the building of the UK's vaccine manufacturing centre, and the work that was done there in supporting the national effort to develop and build a vaccine. We've got examples from across the private sector, from helping major retailers to survive through this extremely difficult period, to digitally transform their operations, and some of those major retailers were then able to get 30% increase in growth online by the end of the year, to helping very small firms. Also, we have an example of a bakery in Yorkshire that completely transformed its businesses thanks to the work of one SME consultant. So, there's a huge diversity of work there, and I think it's been an exceptional year for many businesses across the UK, and consultants have very much walked hand in hand with public and private sector clients to support them through this period. So I'm really looking forward to promoting some of that work in due course.
Indeed, that sounds fabulous. Okay, well, let's turn our attention to some questions from the audience for the next few minutes, Tamzen. So first question comes from Manoj, and Manoj asks, can I use my experience with a number of different projects to help evidence my achievements towards becoming chartered?
So you will be able to. There is a very, very hefty FAQ section around the evidence that you can submit for this award. It is a much easier system than it was for the first tranche of 10 people that went 2 years ago, when there was really a blank sheet of paper and we were forming this. So there's a lot of experience that you can get from people that have been through this already, and there are very strict criteria that the CMI have put together, and they put some really helpful, useful documents around FAQs. I think one of the problems that emerged earlier on was people not sticking to word counts and using too many examples, and there is a strict word limit and number of different projects that you can describe. So quantity is not always the most important thing here, and certainly you'll be able to get all of that detail from the CMI website, and also through some of those webinars that I discussed as well.
Great. Okay, so less is more in some cases, Manoj, but yes, you can use a variety of experiences in your assessment. Worth clicking on the link in the chat to find out more. Our second question comes from Katrina. And Katrina asks us, is there a way for experienced consultants to get involved with the Chartered Management Consultant Award and give back to those that are a little bit earlier in their career?
Absolutely, Katrina, great question. So first of all, I'd say embrace this award, be an ambassador for it, become chartered, and help us to promote it through your contacts, through your clients, and through younger consultants. At the end of this year, you'll be hearing more from us, because we will be launching together with the CMI the Academy of Professional Consultants, and this will be a community for those on the journey and those that are chartered to join, where there will be best practice sessions, there will be training and development for those that require it, and there'll be definitely the opportunity for you to give back and to help those and on the journey. And once you become chartered, you can also obviously help us with promoting it through forums like this.
Great. Okay. Next question for today is from Dan, and Dan asks, do you think that consultants can increase their reputation with clients through the ethical commitments that are made as part of the ChMC award? So,
core to being a consultant is having a very high regard for ethics. Now, many of the firms that are involved already have those ethical value statements, but it's all right, to have a statement. You've got to be able to prove and show how you're upholding them. So yes, it can increase your reputation, but through the award and through the assessment, you will have to show how perhaps you have faced some ethical challenges and what you have done in those circumstances. So you'll very much have to prove through the Chartered Award that you are truly committed to high ethical standards. So yes, it is independently assessed by the CMI, and I very much hope that it will be a high standard that will reflect the very best of consultants in this sector.
Great. Okay. We're going to take now the final question for today, which is from Riley. Riley asks, well, she says, thanks, Tamzen, for all of your insights today. How do you see management consulting changing over the next 5 years?
So we've got huge changes in the last 6 months, and I'm sure over the next few years there are going to be as many, consultants are working on digital innovation and really pioneering work across the public and private sector. We've seen a rapid development of technology and use of technology by many firms very recently, but I'm sure that will continue at the same level and at the same pace as we've seen in the last 12 months. So I think there's going to be, significant emphasis by all sorts of organisations on their digital innovation, and that demand will come from consultants to assist with that. I think we're seeing, the industry, like many other industries, reassess how it works and where it works, and I think that's can be very positive for the industry. I think, previously there used to be a lot of travel and a lot of work on client site. And I think what we've shown through the last 12 months is a lot of work, not all of it, but a lot of work can be delivered digitally. And that will have many benefits for clients who've seen, a rapid delivery of service by consultants. But hopefully also this will enable us to attract a more diverse workforce, to increase the flexibility. We know that consulting is a hard profession. It's, many hours, but hopefully, digital delivery will enable us to work more flexibly and hopefully to attract more talent pools from across the UK and more regional talent pools. So I think there's huge changes are happening. I think we've seen some of that in recent months, and I think that's only going to accelerate over the next couple of years.
Indeed, and we certainly subscribe to all those benefits around flexible working that you've mentioned there, and I think that both for the individuals but also for the industry as a whole there can be major benefits delivered. I did say that was the final question, but Anise has just sent us one more question, and we've got a little bit of time, so I'm keen just to sneak in if we may before we finish, Tamzen. And Anise asks, what have been your major learnings as a leader throughout the last year, Tamzen?
So I think as a leader, we've all had to look after our teams. I think it's brought us closer to our teams than we've ever been before. We're all meeting each other in our homes. We've had to pace our work differently. So I think there was a really rapid acceleration and a huge amount of work that was happening in the summer last year as many organisations responded to increased demands from clients or had to rapidly transform businesses. We delivered, awards digitally. We delivered many webinars digitally. I think it's about trying to find the right pace in that digital innovation with your teams and making sure that everybody has got a good work-life balance. And I know that's important, not just, for me at the MCA with the team, but is an important priority across consulting at the moment. I think in critical periods, consultants work very hard for clients. And I think well-being has been a real key priority for both me as a leader, but also across the industry as well. And I guess the only other thing I'd say on Chartered would be, my gut instinct at the beginning of this, it was quite complex. It was very difficult. It was certainly going to be a huge amount of work, but I felt it was the right thing to do. And I think sometimes you do the right thing and the rest will follow. I'd hope that would be the motto that I would have going forward as well.
I think that's a fantastic motto to live by generally, and thanks for sharing your personal experiences over that last year. Tamzen, before we finish today, I know that we're both really keen to congratulate everybody that's already become chartered as part of the pilot project that we've been doing over recent months, and also to thank the organisations that are committed to the project for their commitment and inputs thus far. But looking forward to the official launch of the award on Monday. And Tamzen, many thanks for your insights today and for joining us on the Better Managers Briefing. Everybody, if you're watching today, if you'd like to understand more about the Chartered Management Consultant Award, as I mentioned earlier, there's a link in the chat and in the description, and we'd encourage you to take a look at that. And we hope that this is of interest for you and that we see you becoming chartered in the not too distant future. But for today, thank you very much for watching. Have a great weekend. And once again, thank you, Tamzen.